Hello, my darlings, and welcome to Blood Bonding, the post-season show for ATL by Night. As a reminder, this is our Season 2 post-season show, and there will be spoilers for the Season 2 live play. So if you don't want to get spoiled on anything, make sure you go back to our VOD on Twitch and YouTube and catch up to where we are before you start watching the show. As you can see, I have with me tonight Tyler Sutherland and Zachary Valdo, who play Aaron, whose last name we have, Ulrich. Mm-hmm. And Anton Kravoposkov.
That is correct.
It's all right. I'll fuck it up sometime. So make sure, again, go to the VOD if you don't want to get spoiled on anything, because we're going to jump right into it with the last name as a starter.
Ooh, good questions.
First thing I want to know, was it inspired by Full Metal Alchemist? Are you that kind of weeb?
Those questions are related yet unrelated. I very much enjoy that show. But no, that wasn't the inspiration for it.
Okay. Was the last name inspired by anything in particular?
It was. So I wanted to go as full Gangrel as I could, put it through some different lineage and historical search engines, and Ulrich translates to Wolf Ruler or Wolf King.
Okay.
And so with Aaron's sire being as anti-werewolf as possible, kind of wants to wipe them out or rule them, he went that full personage.
That's cool.
And so when he took on Aaron, he passed that name down to him.
Is that like, what is it, Ancient Norse, Ancient Danish?
One of those, yes.
One of those.
I won't pretend to know.
One of those Scandinavian ones. That's very cool. And so, do we get to learn more about Aaron's sire at this point?
Well, this hasn't been discussed at all with the storyteller, but with Aaron's sire being so anti-werewolf, and Aaron now signing his name on a very pro-werewolf and vampire arrangement, it would not be surprising to me if his sire comes a-knocking, saying, "Why are you slandering my name and such?"
I'm sure she made a note of it.
I regret everything.
And we've mentioned the Werewolf Pact. Obviously, one of the biggest things to happen in Season 2 was discovering that you'll be fighting Alessandra. Now, I don't remember, did you say you had done VTM before this, or you were...
No, this is my first game.
I had I'd done a couple of one-shots of Vampire. I played other World of Darkness games before this, but I hadn't really interacted with La Sombra before this, so that was an unknown to me, except for what I had learned coming into playing this game. Like I knew
out of the shade into the shadows.
Pretty much, yeah. Like I knew about them, but I didn't know anything like definitive, because I pretty much knew the clans that I had played with, and Caitiff, which is what I played in my first game, and that was it. So then coming into ATL by Night, I learned all of the clans that are relevant and the ones that aren't relevant for V5. And so then I got to know about them, so then suddenly having one drop in was a bit of a mindfuck.
To be fair, I think we were the ones that dropped in.
Eventually.
Well, they dropped in.
Yes.
You, on the other hand, were taken in.
That was fun experiences. Every time that I get the chance to work with Ellie, she finds ways to torture me.
Yeah, and kidnap you.
Every time.
Sometimes in a very literal sense. One of the more heart-wrenching moments this season was the Dolly Parton moment, where Aaron started singing Dolly Parton in the hopes that someone would hear him, and Anton, of course, picked up on that. Now, Anton and Aaron had a big fight before the abduction of everybody. What were you guys thinking going into, it's like you have a fight and then suddenly you get kidnapped. It's like you don't know how that is going to get resolved at that point.
From Aaron's perspective, and he touched on this a little bit with Leona, Thomasina, as soon as things had calmed down, he started asking questions of, did you guys put me in there? Because he had this huge fight with Anton and was not sure how his location was revealed. We find out later because of the SI operative who was...
It turns out you were just sloppy.
Working with him, right. So many leads that were just there, but Aaron can't really poke around questions, just say, hey, at the police officer station, because if he does, people take notice. But I think in summary, there was apprehension. He didn't know, and I didn't know how to bridge that gap, just to hopefully put those good Dolly vibes out there. in the hopes that someone's listening.
That's the second time that specific Dolly Parton song has been used in a emotional connection point in the show. It was the exact same song that Anton put on after Catherine's death.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's the song, like, we went back to the Athenaeum and I put on Dolly Parton and I put on that song.
Yep.
And then when Aaron was looking for some sort of, like, just connection out there, he sang that song.
And I promise that in the prep for that episode that I did try to learn the words well enough to sing them.
I already got demonetized, it's fine.
But to be honest, I do not sing well. We have so many, like, X number of followers. I don't want us to lose every single one of them because of my pitch terrible singing. So there will not be singing because I love you all too much.
The chat is now exploding with people asking about Aaron singing in season 3.
We can make believe and pretend it. You can only LARP so much.
The chat has mentioned before that what they'd really love to see is, what was the exact song? Let me see if I can find it.
Oh no.
So I think it was Sarah Sent who mentioned it.
Was it a duet of that song?
It was Here You Come Again?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
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 How many Twitch subs would we need to do a bonus video of Anton and Aaron duetting Here You Come Again?
So I told Ellie about when I read that, I told Ellie about a stupid idea I had for a recording of that duet, but it's like, it's in the style of that scene from Doctor Who where they're on the other side of the wall and they can't get to each other. Because I hate all of you and I want you to suffer.
Beautiful. Well, the good news, at least for me, not for the fans, is that because Aaron now has this La Sombra bloodline, is that he's very glitchy. So you may never get some videos because I can't legally record it.
There's a filter for that.
I'll find a way.
Just can't happen. But yeah, no, I think just going back to the question, I think if Anton had all of his resources at his disposal, there wouldn't have really been like an exploration of the house and a planning. He would have been there because he was already in a hyper panic mode about the fact that, like, his closest friend had been taken, and the last thing that he told him was all of the ways that he had wronged him.
Yeah, and that was was probably a relief to get him back, but gotcha. Also.
And yeah, I was trying to put it across without also like taking over the scene, but Anton was not in a good space, and not just because he didn't have his things, it's because he didn't have his things to solve the problem. And yeah, he was at a loss there.
And that kind of touched on something that was interesting, at least to me, for this season, was the degrees of hunger that we saw.
Oh, yeah.
We touched on it a little bit in season 1. Cirrus completely destroying Catherine, unfortunately. But when Aaron got to like a 3 out of 5, he's antsy, he can't think straight. When we get to a 4 out of 5 with Anton is just one bad dice roll away from just wrecking the whole scene.
Oh yeah. And I specifically even asked about making a roll at that point to see if I even told Ellie or told the group what was going on with Anton. And it's because Anton's like personal beast is about complete control. And just like being the one that has the power, has the control of the situation.
Yeah, bit of a control freak.
Yeah, but like, so there's a couple of points in the season where Anton's beast actually kind of came into play that didn't let on, and I'll let this one on because it's impossible for it to happen now. But for some reason, every single member of the coterie and the Primogen that were in the Athenaeum all just agreed to let Anton be alone in the Athenaeum with a torpid prince. And that was the roll that I made when I said I'm making a dice roll. I was seeing if I was going to take power from that prince, because that is Anton's big beast sin.
I'm gonna need to insight check that you didn't do that.
The roll succeeded, and I dragged him out of the Athenaeum.
Everyone needs an exit buddy.
Yep.
You have your exit buddy.
And then so then I rolled in the facility to see if I told them, and because I succeeded on it, I also was able to, sort of maintain that for the rest of the scene and not attempt to keep my own control of the situation and attempt to, gain more power so I could control the situation.
And we've touched on it a little bit, not to change subjects too quickly, but how everyone's kind of lost something this season with the exception of Sirius.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that last week, that Sirius is fine.
He's lost enough previously.
So out of everything you've lost, what is, both of you, what is probably the thing that in character you most regret losing? Or what is something that you're really glad you're having to give up because of this change?
Aaron lost everything. His dirty car, his dirty clothes. I think, though,
I left you a pile of trash.
But he wasn't really attached to things anyways. It was the people. So he had this great connection with the Gangrel compound. And so now he has to be extremely anxious and doubly sure anytime that he wants to go visit them that no one's following him. That he can make a visit without worrying about exposing the whole community.
So I'm not 100% sure that everything is lost, but Anton lost everything as well, but he lost his perpetual job, his entire career, which also played into his predator type of Osiris, which I think Leona touched on a bit during her Blood Bond. We talked about
she talked about it a little bit.
We talked about the predator types, but yeah, Anton is an Osiris feeder, and that means that's typically reserved for like cultists or like people who like hold a great amount of power over other people, and people look up to them, adore them, follow them, and that was like Anton's field of study. Was his Osiris field. So the graduate students that he taught, the other professors and TAs. When he would go to museums and do guest appearances and speeches and stuff, the people who were huge into that field, that was him. He built everything around this, and he can't do that now. It comes into an interesting point of play, which again, I'm pretty sure Leona said this, but I'll say it just.
Yeah, Leona mentioned a little bit about the feeding y'all did.
Right. Yeah. So for the record, I discovered, rather realized a little bit afterwards that final episode had Thomasina coming to Anton, telling Anton how important he was and how useful he was and how much better he was. Big ego trip there. And how he had knowledge and abilities that she needed. And that really fits all the markers of the Osiris predator type.
Right, because that was something Leona touched on, is that now you're both each other's prey type, or preferred prey.
So long as Anton has something for Thomasina to learn, Thomasina is Anton's prey type. It's an unorthodox approach of it, but
I'm sorry, watching your face during all this is great.
Yeah, it's an unorthodox approach, but it still counts actually. But yeah, so I lost all that. Lost the Athenium as well, which is probably the biggest blow because the Athenium was full of not just like all of Anton's resources, but it was full of pretty much whatever he had left of time before the final nights in Atlanta.
And I think you mentioned there was also a lot of his research there that just is kind of gone now.
So it was sort of like it was played upon in that regard. It is some of his research, but for the most part, the research is everything that he and his other few Tremere collected and stole during the 8 to 10 years following the final nights from the Sabbat, salvaged from what was left of Elysium. The Athenium was a museum of the past of Atlanta,
and also Dolly Parton.
And yeah, so that is now. Maybe it's all still sitting in there, and it's just dangerous to go there. Maybe the Second Inquisition has collected everything that Harrison hadn't gotten. I don't know. We'll see.
And Harrison was the kindred. There was that mid-season?
No, so Harrison is not a kindred. Harrison is my ghoul, who I've never really gotten the opportunity to bring into play before. Anton has a herd, as part of the...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's part of the Osiris background. You get a herd, which is like a group of set people that you can feed on, and it's a very low dot there, so it's just like one or two, three people.
Mm-hmm.
So he has his TA, who knows obviously what he is,
Mm-hmm.
and has accepted this like ghoul position, sort of under the aspects that he too may one day join the ranks.
Yeah.
To be seen. At this point, I don't even know.
Is that a lie?
It's not a lie. It's just a matter of, is that even a feasible thing now? I, as a player, have actually been sort of wrestling with, is having this ghoul feasible in our current situation? And if not, how exactly do you approach that in the
That's
game?
true.
Because I don't really know.
And now I remember something about if you and a fellow vampire feed from each other too close together, right? You start forming a blood bond. Now, are you scared of that happening with Thomasina? Are you kind of hoping for that to happen with Thomasina? Because let's be honest, chaos is great in tabletops.
So
A little bit of chaos.
there are very technical ways around blood bonding that Thomasina, being the predator type that she would know those ways around it, and Anton, being the fucking book nerd that he is, would know the ways around it. Especially since it's actually
it's
harder.
one thing to know, though.
Yeah, so that's sort of what I'm getting at. Like it's one thing to know how to do it, and there's the technique that you can do to avoid the blood bond. I'll get into the nerdy mechanics.
Well, yeah,
Why
it's you
not?
go home after you're done. You don't stay for the night.
Not even. Not even. It's even simpler. It's even simpler, and it's just fun vampire magic. In the same way that the embrace has to work, you have to drink directly from the person, like directly from them for the bond to work. Which means any intermediate vessel kind of fizzles out that kindred magic, such as a cup, a chalice. You may notice a lot of vampires are drinking blood like from glasses all the fucking time. That it's not kindred blood, most likely, but it could be.
Maybe.
It could be without the side effect of risking a blood bond because of timing. If it's too long, it becomes kind of gross and stale, and a lot of vampires can't drink that unless you have the
Iron
merit
gullet,
that we have. But yeah, to pour blood directly from either of us into a cup and then drink it.
You're not showing the logo.
I'm not. It would then give you the ability to feed without risking the blood bond.
Okay, that's...
But as you said, it's one thing to know, it's another thing to do, and
Right. Because you and Thomasina went up to a closed VIP booth. We don't know exactly how you...
Well, in that instance, there weren't exactly a lot of cup options in the general vicinity. But yeah, there's also preference of feeding, and there is a rush that comes from feeding directly. So, timed properly, it could be a continuing thing, and it just sort of...
I will say,
yeah.
have you ever had a lemon drop shot or something like that?
Yeah.
That's all I'm imagining now is just bloodlet into a lemon drop shot and then just shoot it.
But it'll come down to it'll come down to how do they like to feed, and is that an occasional rush that either of them want to have, or is it just pure business? No, we have this is your cup, this is my cup.
Yeah, and this could be right.
Yeah.
I love chaos in tabletops. It's so much fun.
We'll
the
see.
level of addiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
People were Aaron had his addiction to the fake blood
Yeah, he
or
did.
the werewolf blood, and so
Whatever
now
it
we have
was.
this addiction to where it's ebbs and flows. If it was one easy way to do something, it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about feeding from blood, you kind of touched on a little bit the Lasombra powers and the Lasombra blood.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can see ghosts. Are we have any in this room? Is there a hanged kindred in the corner?
We're good now. Bob and I are just fine.
No, that's a fae spirit.
Right. So we have the Lasombra powers for ghost vision that we played around a little bit. I kind of want to find out if we can do a quick recon mission at the Athenaeum to see if there was anything left. I really wanted to...
Are you gonna
You can meet the ghost.
Right.
What is it called? Melt into shadow or blend into shadow? I want to say
One of those, right. I have some lower level things because it was just injection, but if getting more of Alejandro's blood is something that happens, then we find out what other stuff Aaron can do.
So are you going to just stash a torpid Lasombra at the Gangrel compound, just
Nope.
just need a little
No.
snacky?
No straws going into Lasombra.
I am curious to see how much of things are left at the Athenaeum, because there are quite a few things that were left there that would be very interesting to get back into possession going into future seasons.
Yeah, and a lot of resources you had as a Tremere for your Tremere. I want to say witchcraft. That's
Rituals.
not the word. Rituals. Thank you.
At some point when Mel was getting together her formidable weapons, you mentioned like a spear and a glass case off to the side and just left that alone. It's like, no, come back to that, please.
There's quite a few interesting artifacts from VTM lore. Nothing like the Eye of Hazamel or anything. Nothing that's like major player in the game
That you know of.
I would know what I had, but still like things that are of interest to Kindred at large. Of like, how do you have that? But nothing that's like game changing. I don't have the Arcaran sarcophagus in the the Athenaeum.
In that little hole that you dropped Aaron into, there's just...
There's nothing in there.
A lot of people are curious about that hole.
I can only imagine why. It's just a dark hole in the middle of your office.
Just a dark concrete hole.
Now, a couple of our audience members have wondered, Anton, is he evil?
That is a question.
But it was one of those things that came up. We actually got to see everyone roll their humanity scores. Were there any humanity scores that were surprising to you? Because yours, I think you said you had 8 humanity points?
I think mine's the default 7-ish.
Is it 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not really. Not really. Unfortunately, like I think at the time we were all pretty standard in our humanity level.
With the exception of Thomasina and Cirrus, who we know have lower humanities. We don't know what Cirrus's is.
Yeah, we don't know what Cirrus's is. Thomasina's is a little higher than it should be for because of certain actions throughout the game.
Right, and we talked about that.
But yeah, unfortunately, it didn't actually surprise me, like the humanity levels, because it tracks for everybody in their history what levels that they would be at. I would actually be surprised if Thomasina was at the same humanity level as Aaron, for example.
And I was surprised actually to see Mel's humanity as high as it is. Not to speak ill against Mel, but how true to her
Not to be
character she
racist
is.
against Bruja.
Right. Her character is so strong and vibrant and still humane that it's over the centuries still held up to that. That's very hard to deal with.
Oh god, yeah, it's hard to do.
Right. If you're playing a very old character, you become more and more attached.
Yeah.
But to still be at that level is amazing and surprising, and she plays it so well through her character.
Well, yeah, you have to do like a lot of very human actions and care about people to bump your humanity up in a game. Like you have to do selfless things, and for the amount of like personal revolutions that have happened in Mel's life, and then national revolutions that she has participated in, I think it's safe to say that she has thought about the people over herself on enough of an occasion that she could bump her humanity up to where it is.
That's good.
Well, and that's something that Aaron losing everything, I think, kind of affects as well, is are you afraid that he's going to lose humanity now that he doesn't have a police station kind of, for lack of a better word, keeping a leash on him?
Right. He lost his daily grind, his daily life. He doesn't have access to his one humanish contact, Patrick, at the office anymore. So he has to do full Kindred stuff now. And taking that full swing along with losing his visual identity is something that's going to clash a little bit, I think, in Season 3.
Yeah, I think that should be really interesting to see the coping mechanisms that come out.
And none of them will be healthy, I'll just tell you that.
No.
I mean, I'll be honest. I can't imagine that someone becomes undead because they have healthy coping mechanisms. Like, no one goes through life and says, you know what, I'm satisfied. I think now's the time to turn into a vampire.
I mean, we don't always have a choice in the matter, but...
Maybe not always, but... I mean... This guy, he went chasing werewolves.
Right, full other spectrum.
Like, we've got bad coping mechanisms from jump.
Yeah.
And then, were there any plot twists that caught you by surprise this season? Because I know that there were a couple that caught Ellie by surprise, a couple that got triggered earlier in the season.
Yeah, that
they were
one.
Supposed to.
that one. The whole Second Inquisition plot completely took me by surprise because, obviously, like any tabletop player doesn't expect that they're just going to lose everything in a game.
Yeah.
Like it's a weird kind of ingrained hubris where it can happen, but you just don't expect it's going to happen. So for it to just then, happen was.
It's the storyteller shaking the no-no can at you, saying, "Behave, or this is going to happen."
Yeah,
and it happens. You're like,
"Well, you didn't
tell me."
It's a very shiny no-no can, though.
Yeah.
It's a
so
no-no can that
tempting.
says, "Don't touch me, don't touch me," but I'm shiny and covered in gold.
And learning about the number of specific circumstances that had been ticked to kick that off, because like the cops came, we went away. I thought that it went okay. I didn't think it went great. I didn't think we did a perfect bang-up job.
I don't think anyone thought it went okay. I was watching and I was like, "Oh no, baby, what is you doing?"
Yeah, everybody in the chat kept yelling like, no, they need a warrant to come in. No, they need a warrant to come in. It was a wellness check, and a thing that a lot of people forgot about the Athenaeum over and over again is that is not Anton's house. That is a public access building that he has a secret lair underneath. That is a government grant funded building. It's a restoration and preservation society up top, and then down below is just where all of his stuff is. He goes to an apartment. The apartment he had was in Decatur, kind of near Emory. Right. But everybody's like, "No, that's your house. They can't come without a warrant." It's like the government owns this building technically. Yes, they can.
Let me do some damage control before things
exactly.
get out of hand.
Yes, they can. So I can bring them into the top part, and I can say, "No, you cannot enter my office." And then I can do some damage control there, because at that point they could just barge into the office.
So would you, as a player, if you had... How do I word this? If you had the knowledge you do now, as Anton and as a player, would you change that if you went back and did it over again?
Scorpion touch right to the face. Actually,
yes, chaos.
No, I probably wouldn't. Because honestly, I feel like the other option is for it to be like a cliffhanger thing, and I really liked the complete unexpected nature of I like the unexpected nature of now we have to deal with this, and so then we cap off the season with the death of Talbot and the start of political season. Right. I like that a lot. Even like for all we lost, for all we went through, I think that is probably the best path that we could have wound up taking, and I really dug that.
Speaking of politics, we've learned a lot about the Renasherie Camarilla this season. Who would you vote for? So I think we've discussed, and I don't know that we ever got confirmation officially on this, that Alpha is probably going to put his name in the hat.
Oh, we know he is.
Elijah might get nominated, and Melisende is definitely nominated. So out of those three, or would you nominate someone else, who would you vote for?
As is often in politics, I would like to walk back some statements. I do not think...
Are you running?
No,
Are we getting a second? Are we getting a Gangrel versus Gangrel runoff?
I don't know if that's possible.
I would like to clarify that Elijah has not put his name in.
Yeah, he has not.
Aaron would like to see him put himself Elijah's
well, that's why I wanted
in.
to put that clarity at the front.
It would be highly controversial and dangerous for Elijah, for his clan, and for the city being Camarilla, for a thin blood to run as prince. Not to say that it shouldn't happen, but it has not officially been put in. So Aaron would like to see that happen. He would probably vote for Elijah because there's some off-camera connection between Aaron and Elijah as far as the Institute.
Care to elaborate on that statement?
Sure. So the background being when the Lost Childer format, we published that online. I was able to actually digest a lot of that info.
And you can go to atlbynight.net and pick out that Lost Childer play guide. Continue.
That's fine. It's fun. It's easy to digest. It actually gave me, as a player in this campaign, content to chew on as what would a new initiate to the school for gifted kindred, what would Aaron learn as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior? And one of that is how to control your beast. And so one of the things I thought through was, well, Elijah very timidly probably helped Aaron figure out how to go from feral in the woods for a year to not feral, not eating everybody as soon as they see them. So that support from a nice kindred would have been something that Aaron really appreciated.
Yeah, because Aaron's a good boy.
Yeah.
It's in the name.
I've got to just slide it in there.
He's not always a good boy, and we saw plenty of that this season.
That's true. We did see Aaron misbehave a little bit this season.
We all have a beast. Like the only person that's actually formally nominated is Melisande. We just know that Alpha will do it because he straight up said at the end of season 1 that he wasn't content being the Primogen for the Gangrel. He has his sights set higher, and he's doing the sheriff job because sure. But yeah, he's gonna be gunning for that nomination, and then Elijah's not nominated.
Hopefully not literally gunning. Though.
I don't know. And then Elijah's not nominated because there hasn't been like a Toreador to nominate him yet. It would wind up being his mother, I imagine. And also, does she nominate him, or does he have to be nominated by a Thin Blood? I don't know. I don't know how the politics work on that. But an interesting thing that we had not discussed was the second thing that surprised me the most this season, which was Mel getting nominated. Did not expect that. And it completely changed a thought process that Anton had, because my plan for the next episode...
When that happens in the fall, I think.
No, my plan for the next episode after she got nominated.
Oh, okay.
We were getting there, and then I was going to go back to the school, go back to Olivia's, and talk to Elijah about how Anton feels that he should seek the nomination for Prince, because we're in a situation where nobody was expecting to have to get to this point of an election and possibly reveal the notion of the Renashri Camarilla, because hiding that there is an election is very difficult to do.
Right.
It is not impossible, but it's very difficult to do, and that alone would set off some alarm bells. So Anton's thought is, if we're supposed to be like the city of progress in this regard, why not go the entire way with it? And why not
just go full progress and progress as much as...
Right, and why not have a prince that is the very representation of the disenfranchised in Kindred, in this new start for a Camarilla, being the Thin Blood. And then his coterie mate got nominated for Prince. And obviously there was an allegiance shift that he still is not opposed to Elijah. He just is maybe not going to actively seek out to tell him, should it happen, he would support the notion. And then you talked to Thomasina, and you also want Elijah to run, and I was fascinated by the fact that we reached the same conclusion,
which was
a
fun scene to do with Leona, just because she's great, but also because she subtly slips in after this this connection, this coming together after, okay, you just got kidnapped, are you okay? You lost your reflection, are you okay? Hey, by the way, you're not voting for Alpha, are you? So very sly, very well done. Threw me off. But it also got Aaron thinking, if Mel is running, why he wants to or shouldn't want to vote for Mel. And that's, right now he's against it because Mel was the first nice kindred that Aaron ever met. And so if he votes for her and she ends up winning, he doesn't think that he can play in that political arena. So he loses the chance to stay close to Mel. If she runs... He's
a soft boy who doesn't play hardball.
If she runs and she loses, then there's the whole other aspect of Mel touched on, or Brittany touched on this a lot, of what happens to the losing candidates. Can they stay in the city without fear of getting got, essentially?
Because that's a tricky thing, because typically, we touched on it a bit in the game, but typically, praxis is declared, and the person that wants to challenge the prince challenges the prince, and if they win, then they win, and that prince is typically dead. Not always. There's some other structures of archons and whatnot, but typically that prince is dead. So the notion of an election, if the Primogen are still trying to keep the notion of the Renashri Camarilla a secret, then the notion of an election can't become public knowledge. So it becomes a matter of, who is nominating all these people? Is it the Primogen nominating their candidates because they are the secret keepers, or can literally anybody nominate anybody? Can I nominate another Tremere?
I think that's a question we haven't seen yet.
That wasn't laid out for us in the rules because it hasn't been done yet, and they weren't planning on doing it for another 50 years. So who knows? But Anton's not entirely convinced that a progressive document such as the Renashri Camarillo would be, all right, we're going to do elections, and all the losers get stabbed, and all the losers get run out of town. Like, if they're trying to keep it
or
a secret,
torpored for the first 30 years of
and that's the thing is, there are options. Like torpor is an option to keep it a secret for a while for the losers, though it sucks. There's also an entire discipline school that is very good at messing with your brain and making you have holes in it, to where the other candidates might not know that they ran.
Well, and there's also the oh god, I just thought of what I was going to say and then I forgot it. There's also other options as well, wherein... Nope, I completely lost it.
Okay.
Never mind.
Yeah,
I was like, there's another way, and then just...
I don't think that death is necessarily the option. I don't think that exile is necessarily the option. They are options. But I don't know if it's the option for showing how progressive the Renashri Camarillo could be.
Right.
Well, and it also you bring up kind of an important question is everyone who's nominated necessarily aware of the nomination?
There's that too. Are they aware of the nomination, or are other people aware that they can nominate?
Like, could we have secret candidates who don't know they're nominated?
We could. We potentially could. It could be that.
If you have that much of a
level
name
deeper.
of a brand, people would vote for you anyways.
Right, exactly.
Like,
and it also depends, because I don't know if it got clarified. Is it just the Primogen who vote? Or is it...
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. The document implied that it would be actual voting. I think if it's just the Primogen voting, that has a bit of a...
Pirate King.
Yeah, a bit of a Pirate King feel in it, and like it has a bit of a I'm voting for my candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So great, we have 7 votes for 7 people.
Elizabeth Swann.
Right. So then, so I think I get the notion that it would/should be the Kindred of Atlanta, but then therein lies the problem of, is this still a secret?
Yeah, and that's a big one.
I don't know anymore, and I don't think the Primogen know anymore. I know Ellie knows.
Well,
she knows.
Well, and that's the other thing is, like,
are.
we know the Atlanta con scene. If you told 2 people about the Renashri Camarillo, it'd be out immediately.
Right, exactly. The fact that the number of us know is staggering, and we haven't told other people yet.
The fact that, like, 15 people know about this and no one else is shocking.
Yeah. All the Primogen know. Elijah knows, who's also is also a Primogen. And then, the 5 of us know.
For now.
And...
If you don't die.
Right. Very close there for about 3 of us. I hope, though, when we kick back for Season 3, we get a little bit of leeway. The political scheme and gambit is great for intrigue. I think the Primogen need a little bit of cushion time, because they were just kidnapped and tortured for quite a bit of time. They probably need to debrief before, I don't know, Tabitha might start running her candidate right out the door as soon as they get back, whereas Denise might need a few moons to rest it off.
We also don't know if every single clan is going to have a representative,
Right.
or not. Like, they all can, but are they all going to?
That's a lot of NPCs.
And then speaking of candidacy, speaking of running, which brings us to Season 3, we mentioned a couple of things about things in Season 3 will be exciting, but Ellie mentioned last episode that we officially have a player to play Hex.
We do. We do.
And how much have you been involved in that? Because I know that Anton knows Hex the best out of most of the coterie.
Yes.
How much have you been involved in that process of helping build that character sheet?
I am not building the character sheet. That is entirely Ellie building the character sheet,
Okay.
and then the actress/player is working with Ellie on refining the character sheet to do things that way she has the ability to actually play a character of hers and not just be handed an NPC and go, here you go. So like a lot of things that Hex has already shown that she can do are
Fortnite.
are on there, and then things that they work out are on there. But I am not involved in building the character sheet. My only involvement is talking with her about our connection over the past few years.
Yeah, catching her up on the relationship you two have built.
Right, for like 5 out of the 8 years that she's been a kindred, apparently, and just establishing that level of friendship that we have.
Right.
That is all that I'm doing. But
Yeah.
we did a little test run session 0, and she
nice.
is she's perfect. She's
Amazing.
Yeah, she has just that exact quirkiness of Hex that you guys are gonna fucking love it.
That's very
Perfect.
exciting. And I believe by you guys he means you, the audience, because
Everybody love it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh,
as much
we're
as
bound
they
to
are.
love her.
Yeah.
Like, Ellie knows how to pick people. All right, time for the compliments. All right, go before she can bust in the door. Go.
Ellie's just the best at storytelling and writing, and she's amazing.
I could not honestly do it. It is overwhelming.
Yeah.
The amount
It's
of
a lot of
effort
work.
and fun that goes
No,
into it.
seriously, yeah.
It's a lot of work. It's incredibly impressive what she's put together.
And also just there's a lot of lore that's there, and there's a lot of lore
and
that,
keeping track of it.
yeah, there's a lot of lore that she built, and a lot of like crafting and fitting it into the V5 vampire world, because Atlanta just kind of fell off the map in the 90s in vampire lore. There's the Fall of Atlanta book, and then it literally just fell, gone. So Ellie not only made this game, she had to rebuild Atlanta from the ashes, as the document is called, all the way back up to where we are now, and create these connections and make us understand, why are these type of kindred here? Why don't we see these type of kindred? What is this connection? How did it get to this point? Why is there a Second Inquisition facility in Atlanta when in places like LA the Second Inquisition is just like five agents that are on a shoestring budget?
To be fair,
Right.
if you're in the perimeter, that isn't in Atlanta.
And to clarify,
For audience members not in the Atlanta area, there's a very big ITP OTP rivalry for those who live in the perimeter,
Yeah.
which is a highway around Atlanta, versus out of the perimeter, which is where the Second Inquisition facility was.
Yes.
which is next to the DMV, the most evilest
Evil.
of all places.
Right?
So now we know they should have been there the whole time.
But
So
like,
now you know to scope every DMV for a Second Inquisition line.
oh yeah,
Always.
but I get it. Then like she didn't just build that. That's not enough. She also built Garu werewolf lore into Atlanta and explained why this is the predominant clan or tribe of Garu, and the others wouldn't be in here. And I know for a fact that she has not considered other World of Darkness properties and how they fit into Atlanta.
And we talked about that last week as well, and how
Yeah.
we might tie in other properties in the
Oh, yeah.
future. Also,
Yeah.
though I don't know that there are direct plans at current.
She's a machine. It's incredible.
Otherworldly. I honestly could not do it.
Would you say it's other World of Darknessy?
No,
Yeah.
I would not. Not in the slightest.
I like it.
So one thing you mentioned is Ashes, which made me think about the Final Nights again, and therefore we're gonna go down that like ADD track,
Sure.
where it's like Ashes, Final Nights, the house that you got from the Giovanni clan, the horses. So. Welcome to my brain.
Nice.
So do you think there's any symbolism behind which horses were drawn to you two? Because if I recall correctly, you had death?
No,
You
no.
had
The gir-
pestilence?
Yeah, the girls had death and war. I had pestilence and he had famine.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Very hungry all the time.
But do you think there's any symbolism in which ones specifically were drawn to you two?
It's Ellie, so yes. But as
Too
far
many
as,
theories?
as far as what it is, I'm not sure.
I don't think there
you
was a
thought?
BuzzFeed quiz for it.
No.
Don't worry, Quinn will make it.
I'm honestly not 100% sure because, like, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Like, I have ideas, but it doesn't. They don't quite mesh together because I feel like a lot of the horses that went with specific people weren't necessarily the horses that I thought were going to go with specific people, and so yeah, it got kind of surprising after a bit. So it just completely threw me off. So. I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know if we can ride the horses. They're kind of.
I mean, there's one way to find out. Roll a dexterity check.
And the horse has to roll a
Dexterity and composure.
a stamina check to see if
Right.
it can just hold up a person.
I'm still not convinced that the horse isn't going to eat us. So
I don't think the horse is going to eat us. I just don't know if the horse can actually physically maintain a person.
let's not
Also-
try to die as soon as
also-
we can.
Thank you, every person in the chat
Oh.
that was begging / insisting / demanding that we take the horses to go save Aaron. None of you understand how far away Kennesaw is from Covington, even on magic horseback. It wouldn't work.
It's like a 40-mile ride.
wouldn't work.
Would be.
The sun would have
The
come
sun
up.
would have come up. It wouldn't have worked.
It would be hours.
But bless all of you.
You'd have to ride those horses hard just to get them there on the same day.
And that's assuming that A, the horses can even carry us, and B, that if they are magic horses, that they are magic triple speed horses.
Magical pony. And then what else do we have? Oh, someone was wanting to know if you would make a video dancing at the Guru Club.
Unfortunately, it'll be glitchy. Sorry,
That's
I can't
true.
do it.
I mean,
You could go with the music.
that might help your dancing though. You could do some like
This is
pop and
true.
lock, some of the shivery stuff.
See, all those words you said just sounded like
You don't-
static. They don't comprehend.
It's just watch that. There's that. Oh, what is it? That one guy and he does the like really
Oh, yeah.
shivery. Yeah, that zombie style or whatever he calls it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's. I've been on the internet too many times in my life.
Aaron does TikTok dances at the Garter Club.
Can't prove it.
So, oh, this was something you actually asked in the Discord.
Uh-oh.
Was how do you prepare for episodes? Is there any special method you use to prepare? You have to answer this too.
Yeah, you do have to
You're
answer
not
too.
like
Let me think.
out of jail.
So I have a playlist on Spotify that is all of the music that Anton listens to. I've shared it with Twitter and the Discord, so it's available, and it's technically still growing. Some of the songs are songs that Hex put on there to prank Anton, and he just hasn't really noticed yet. Like, he'll be studying, and then, like, a song will come on, and he'll just, like, oh, okay, and just keep going. I listen to that a lot. I've actually come to really like a lot of the music on there. And
I mean, Dolly Parton's a very good songwriter.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be honest.
but I mean, but it's also just a lot of mood music, a lot of songs that lyrically or thematically represent major moments in Anton's life.
Lo-fi synthwave pop
No, not actually.
for vampires.
It's a lot of goth. It's a lot of goth rock. There's a lot of Russian rock on there.
Russian rock is so funny though. If
really
you look
cool.
at the music videos,
Mhm.
oh my god!
But that's
there was
really
an
all I
entire
do.
phase in college.
That's all I actually do. Is I play that and I listen to that, and then I wind up having to watch the episode the next day to remember what happened, because I, for the most part, just drop into Anton in there.
You just
and
go into a fugue state and you play.
like I know what I'm saying. I'm aware of stuff because obviously I'm breaking character to discuss like roles and stuff all the time. But as far as responding to people, there's not a preparation to it. I'm playing off of what is happening in that moment, and I don't necessarily remember what I did, because it was in that moment I reacted to that thing and took that path. So yeah, like, it's easier that way, because that way I'm not like constantly trying to figure out the next move and like play mental chess with myself. I just sort of go, and it's a bit more natural and it makes a bit more sense.
Nice.
At that point.
Well, and Anton, as character versus your personality goes, it's not like he's not identical to you, but he's not a huge step away.
Yeah, no.
So it's not like you're having to play someone opposite to what you
A
normally.
lot of characters that I play in RP and tabletop games are exaggerations of elements of myself because it's easier. I don't like it. It's a little difficult to play entirely away from me. I'm not that good, but I also don't want to just play me. But in this game, so I take an element of myself, or an element that I wish I had, or element that I really hate that I had, and just amp that up, and that's the character.
So what's the element you chose for Anton? I'm very curious.
The desire to know and the desire to control.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You know they have therapy for that.
I'm aware.
My office hour copay is like $30 an hour.
No, you're not Gabaroth right now. I'm not.
That's true. That's true.
And also he takes gold.
For
and
my
platinum.
answer, so I, as a player, love to keep notes. Whether if it's a numbers-heavy game like a D&D battle or a fight, I'll keep track of that stats. I just love the numbers behind it. But for,
Shocking all of us, I'm sure.
But for VTM, it'll be just little anecdotes to myself of be sure to talk to Alpha. Or mannerisms like, all right, you've been captured, play less energy, keep your hands below the table, more hyper-focused on how am I going to behave throughout this episode.
I can't imagine keeping my hands below the table.
I have
It'd be terrible.
I have a very visible problem with that at the table that I
Sometimes audible problem
sometimes
with that.
I have a problem. I have ADHD, guys. I'm working on it.
Better work with what you can.
I'm. It's something I'm working on. So the fact that you have like the mental capacity to be like, yes, this is where my hands stay, is astounding.
Well, that's-
when it's written on a card
yeah.
right there, it's easier to remember.
Oh, yeah.
And plus, when you're involved with such a great immersive group, it's easier to stay in that character.
Oh, yeah.
And a group that you can, and I know Leona and I talked about this a little bit, a group that you can get vulnerable with, because there is a certain vulnerability to, for example, Aaron getting tortured.
Right.
You've got to be comfortable, like, honestly, seeing someone out of context just scream in pain at something in their head would be a little kooky looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all loved each other. We all signed the waiver agreement. When
You
we
signed
came
a
in.
waiver?
Did you not? Darn it. Every time.
No, he's talking about the consent. He's talking about the consent waiver, like red light issues of like we don't touch this.
Oh wow, they just let me out of the closet 3 minutes ago.
Well, I mean, that's this is a different scenario here.
Just store me in between episodes. I'll be fine.
Ellie is very. Here's more compliments for you. Ellie is very conscious.
She's not prepared
of what makes people comfortable.
Yeah.
And this is a game of darkness, but it doesn't mean that she is there to legitimately torture every single person there and make them face their worst fears. It's to make us have to deal with the situation that we have been put into and face that beast. But we don't have to touch on subjects that might have real world impacts on us.
Well, and when we've provided information ahead of time or during the credits to the audience on how they can assess those situations, because
and we all agreed to that beforehand. Like she talked to us and said, we're going to do this. We're going to do this episode. It's going to involve this. Didn't tell us to what capacity.
Right.
We didn't know that Mouse was going to be like the victim of human trafficking, and that she had been like taking out these dudes. I actually thought that the Kendra that we were going to go find was a human trafficker.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was this turnaround.
And I know Ellie and I had talked about it beforehand, so that we had the right phrasing from, I can't remember the name of the organization that we went with, but we pulled their press kit about how to contact them and donate to them for that press kit. And we worked, I know when we did when we put, I think we did the say their names for BLM.
Yes. Right.
We worked very hard to make sure that we had a sensitive statement that we could release that was supportive and that wasn't necessarily because if you look at our cast, putting us ahead of the people who are speaking.
Exactly. Because it's important to actually focus on the issue when you do it.
Yeah.
And then with the human trafficking episode, I feel like that is a prime example of how you can check with your players to make sure that they're comfortable with something and still take them by surprise with it in a disturbing kind of fashion.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know the specifics, we just knew the theme.
Right.
And we can consent to the theme and then get the rug pulled out from underneath us.
Yeah, you can still have the rug pulled out from underneath you, even if you know sort of what you're jumping into.
Like, you don't have to be an amazing storyteller to do it, but it helps when you're Ellie.
It does help if you're an amazing storyteller, which Ellie is.
Yes.
She can't stop us.
You can't stop us. You can't come in here.
Let's see. Don't worry about that. That's just the other guy in a cage. I'm kidding. Let's see. What else do we... Oh, I think I'm actually out of questions. Do you guys have any questions for each other? Because we have about 7 minutes left.
Sure. What character direction were you planning to take your character in that got completely changed by something that happened in the game?
So we started to touch on it with Aaron wanting to train more with Alpha on shape changing. He didn't pick that up from his sire because his sire used Aaron for just bait for hunts. He didn't use him to turn him up into a stronger gangrel. He was just a resource. And so that...
Wait, sorry. He used him as bait for hunts?
Yeah.
So you were like the little fox?
Yes. And so finally getting a relationship with Alpha, a stronger and yet still caring gangrel, was something that Aaron was starting to appreciate, to the sense that he was sensitive enough to ask for that kind of help without expecting to get eaten alive for it. Then we turned out that very next episode that he gets abducted, has to deal with a whole different kind of torture, but comes out of it with a different kind of strength, a La Sombra strength. So we'll see how those two wolves inside of you start grappling.
And that's an interesting mechanical question. So you've had the La Sombra blood. I don't think you can invest leveling points in that now. You still invest them in gangrel, or can you
We will see. I think as far as mechanics go, to improve any kind of blood level you need more blood from that type.
Not necessarily.
All right, rules lawyer.
Yeah.
Right.
So, well, you're a special situation because you didn't feed on Alejandro. You got whatever the hell was in that bag and whatever they injected into you, and I don't know what that is. None of us know what that is. So I don't know how that system works.
Right.
In general, like, Thomasina and Anton have fed on each other with the intention of passing along discipline abilities. We can level those up.
Right.
We don't have to keep feeding on each other to level them up.
Gotcha.
We possess that ability because we have the vitae in our bodies. Some of them require teaching. Like things like the physical ones like celerity and potence and fortitude don't require teaching because they're sort of like let your body take control. Things like auspex and dominate and the more mental based ones require instruction for the most part. I don't really know where Obliviate fits in.
No one
Oblivion
does.
fits in.
Right.
Oblivion's a weird one, and on top of that, it was a weird second Inquisition method. So you may have to learn things in order to learn more.
Sounds like we need to find Alejandro.
Know. I was gonna say we still don't. I mean, my theory is that's going to be season 3, along with the election. Is you're going to have to be figuring out what to do about this Luz La Sombra, who I understand you know what generation he is, or have an idea what generation he
I'll
might
be honest, I don't know.
Okay.
That can be something that Ellie and I can talk about afterwards. There was a bunch of other La Sombra that we saw were like meat on the meat racks. So that blood could have come from them instead of directly from Alejandro.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah,
But he's old, and we can tell he's old.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there were those La Sombra in there, and then there was the one or two because I detected 2 blood bonded to the prince that we never accounted for.
Dun, dun, dun.
That we could maybe assume is Alejandro, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah. And
So,
that's true. We actually don't know who.
There's a lot.
Could you have rolled high enough to know who it was?
Potentially. Wait, no.
Okay.
No. I can only tell if there are active blood bonds with that ritual. I can't tell who they are.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that is most of our time for tonight. As a reminder, you can go ahead and join our Discord. I believe there should be a link in chat right now for fan discussion. That's also where people have been able to submit blood bonding questions. So this is the last episode of this season of blood bonding before we start season 3 sometime in the fall. We don't have dates for that yet. And then if you want to go get more ATL by Night content, make sure you follow our Twitch channel, follow our Instagram and Twitter handles at ATL by Night, follow our Facebook page at facebook.com/ATL by Night, follow our... Nope, that's all of our following things.
Okay.
And as a reminder, we want to say thank you to rusted-icon.net, Rusted Icon Designs, for these beautiful glasses. They also have a Renashery Camarilla glass that they are selling on their website. I don't remember the price, so I won't quote that. But it is rusted-icon.net, and you can find it there. And we've got so many announcements this season.
things.
It's great.
But wait,
I
there's
love
more.
it. But wait, there's more. If you call now. So we also have the Lost Child or Play Guide on the ATL by Night website. That's atlbynight.net, and you can find a Lost Child or Play Guide with relationship map and backgrounds, lore sheet, special aspects and bonuses to implement during character creation, and a bunch of other resources on our website related to Vampire the Masquerade. And I think that's it for this season of Blood Bonding.
Yeah, we did it.
Great job.
Thank you guys
for
joining me for this last episode of Blood Bonding, and we hope to see you in the fall when we bring back ATL by Night for our live play sessions. There should also be, I think there are going to be gaming streams coming up. Watch our social media accounts for those to be announced, for the schedules for that to be announced. And thank you for joining us tonight. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.